All right, everybody. How you doing? We having a good time in the rain? Dancing in the rain? This is the first tech alley with rain, if you can believe it. Over 50 of them. The odds on that are astronomical, if only I had taken that bet. One of the things, a lot of familiar faces here. Actually, I think I know. Raise your hand if you don't know me. I think I know everybody here. This is exciting. All right, we got a jokester. So I love Las Vegas. I love the community. It's Global Entrepreneurship Week, and since I got a free T-shirt, I wore it. It was cool. That was cool. It's interesting seeing so much excitement about different things. Now, we've got two awesome presenters today. I'm biased because one of them's me. And so I'm going to say that I'm awesome. I'll do a good job or not. We'll find out. As just a bit of housekeeping, and you might forget this later, but during the question and answer section, which is awesome, if you do not have this mic here, no one on the recording will hear you. And so all that to say, if you ask for a question, you raise your hand. I'm going to come up with a mic, and this is what happens like all the time. Like, they go, how do you plan to address? Does this thing even work? And so to help avoid that, I'm trying that. Now, we'll see. It might very well end up happening again. It probably will. So one of the things that I think is really cool about Las Vegas is we got a lot of wide variety of interesting talent, especially with different engineering solutions. We got a lot of people with different stacks, different ideologies. It's a very diverse state to begin with. And then we've got that too. So today we've got Sonny Clark. He's going to be presenting. Are you going to be surprised when I say it's something about AI? All right, try to hide your surprise.
So surprised.
Okay, we've got one enthusiastic pretend surprise person. All right, so he's going to present for, I don't know however long he's going to present for, and then we're going to ask some questions, and we'll swap it up, and then after that we'll just hang out. So big round of applause for Sonny. All right, Sonny.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Do your thing.
So basically, I'm going to continue on. I've been showing demos here the last couple tech alleys. I missed the last one because I was just getting too tired. But anyways, so I've been working on AI agents, and I'm going to show a demo of 3 and even 4 possible AI agents. So this is a product I'm launching hopefully next month. And so I feel that every startup's going to need at least 3 agents. They're going to need a sales agent, a tutorial agent, and maybe even a policy agent. So in this demo, you can imagine that this chat box is going to be on the landing page inside an app, and so that your customers can interact with it. So in this example, we're going to assume that you are Zoom. So I did the example of creating these agents for Zoom. So let me go ahead and just go to sales. And then somebody pick an industry.
Real estate.
Real estate. Real estate's good.
It wasn't in the mic, guys. I just got done. Not
Oh, sorry.
60
The
it's
user,
fine, it's fine.
you
I don't mind.
said
I'm
real
just
estate.
repeating this for the recording, so we know I'm interrupting.
Sure. I'm in real estate. I'm in real estate. How might Zoom help me? I don't know how fast the internet is here to go. I think that audio transcription.
Help setting something up, just let me know.
I'm in real estate. How might Zoom help me? See how good the audio transcription is.
Zoom can make your client calls feel like face-to-face visits. HD video, screen sharing, and even virtual backgrounds let you walk through listings or show floor plans without leaving your office. You can also host webinars or open house events for many prospects. Keep a chat channel for quick questions and record meetings so you can review details or share the footage with clients later.
How might this help when I'm showing listings, and how might that help me as I have listings to sell?
You can walk clients through a property over Zoom. HD video, screen sharing, and even virtual backgrounds let you show floor plans or walkthroughs from anywhere. And you can record the session to share later or review details. That way you keep every showing in one place, cut travel time, and let more prospects see more listings without a physical visit, which helps you move inventory faster.
Okay, now I'm convinced, right? Oh, I want to sign up for Zoom. Great, now I signed up. Now let's go to tutorial and say, how do I join a meeting?
Sure thing. First, could you let me know what kind of device you're using? Are you on a Mac, a Windows PC, or a mobile phone or tablet? And are you planning to use the Zoom desktop app, the web browser, or the mobile app? That'll help me give you the right steps.
I'm on a Mac and I'm using the web browser.
Got it, Mac in the web version. Which browser are you using? Safari, Chrome, Firefox, or something else? That'll help me tailor the steps.
I'm using Google Chrome.
Sure thing, open Chrome on your Mac, go to Zoom Us, and click the Join a Meeting button. Paste the meeting ID that was sent to you, hit Join, and when the page loads, you'll see options to choose your audio and video settings before you actually enter the room. If you're prompted for a password, just type it in and you're good to go. Happy meeting.
And somebody just give me a question you would ask while you're in a meeting of like how to share screen or something like that. Mike, please. Or some.
Have them raise a hand.
Give him the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He remembered. It's wonderful.
yeah. I need a sample question you might ask during the Zoom meeting.
Oh, okay. No, the question is, somebody like Zoom will train your sales agent?
Yeah,
about
no. This is not about the product. I need a sample question. You're in the Zoom meeting. What's a sample question of how to use Zoom?
How to share my screen.
Exactly, yeah, okay. How do I share my screen? Sometimes this takes a second.
It's not, or it is, it's leaving you on red.
Yeah, no, right? Sometimes this happens. Yeah, sometimes this happens. All right, let's move on to policy real quick. So I'm gonna go to policy. And then tell me a little bit about the privacy.
Zoom collects personal data such as name, email address, device information, IP address, meeting metadata, and content shared during meetings. They use this information to provide services, improve performance, prevent fraud, and comply with legal obligations. But they do not sell personal data.
No. If I delete my account, does my data go with it, or does Zoom keep my data?
When you delete your account, Zoom can remove your personal data, but they may keep certain meeting metadata for up to 2 years for operational analytics. So while your core personal info can be deleted, some data may still be retained for that period.
Can you tell me what metadata is?
Sure, in this context, meeting metadata means the data that describes the meeting itself. Things like the meeting's time, duration, who joined, and other details that help Zoom understand and analyze how the meeting was used. It's not the content you share, but the background information about the meeting.
All right, and then for kicks, I got an interview. So, yeah, so I'm ready for the interview.
Sure thing, may I have your name, please?
My name is Josh.
It's a great name.
Nice to meet you, Josh. What type of job or role are you applying for?
Pick a random job.
Underwater basket weaver. Try it. Come on, have some fun.
Okay.
It's the language model.
I'm going for underwater basket weaver. See how it responds. This is good. See if it responds. Yeah, I think it might take a second.
How about a plumber?
Plumber's good. The audience suggestion was plumber, so let me try that real quick. Is it going to air it out again? No. Let me try that over. I don't know. Every time you do a demo, something occurs. But you get the idea. I got to still iron out a few kinks.
Homie's beating himself up after he had 2 successful demos, right? He's like, oh, this third one's not working. Yeah.
Yeah, it's technically the 4th one. But yeah, but you get the idea that the key thing is that it has to respond in a couple seconds, respond in like 2 or 3 sentences, and it speaks. Because when you're trying to communicate complex idea, you have to hear a voice. That's how humans are built. I couldn't text you this demo. Hearing my voice allows you to understand these complex things. So, but yeah, I'll have to look into that. Probably if I just start over, it should be fine. Interview.
Hi there. Before we dive in, could you let me know your names?
This time I'll do
Hi,
plumber.
Josh. Great to meet you. What type of job or role are you applying for?
Really? I don't know, it was working earlier, but you get the idea. But yeah, this is, I'll be launching it probably next month, and I think when you have to deal in complex ideas and explain them, and they're dynamic, I think an AI chatbot is really what's going to help, and it speaking is really what's going to help. Yeah, I'm not sure this was working earlier, but whatever. But yeah, so any other questions? All
right. Oh,
sorry. Yeah, so my original question is, let's say for my company, how do I train it to answer the right question?
Yeah, good point. So I would be doing the consulting.
That would be useful for me.
Yeah, exactly. So I would be doing the consulting. Every bot requires a custom setup because I know how to train the AI.
Oh.
So I would be getting custom data, asking you questions about your company, and knowing to get the right data to train.
Okay, it doesn't like scrape my website.
No.
Okay.
Scraping website is not effective.
Yeah, I know it doesn't have.
Yeah, it's not very effective.
Okay.
But yeah, every company will need their own setup.
And how long the training happened? Like 1 week, 1 day, 1 month?
No, it's pretty instant. I mean, it'd probably take like a day. The key thing is that there's this thing called a context window. The context window is how much text you can put into a prompt. You can't just put a whole book in a ChatGPT. I mean, maybe you could, but you can only put so much data. So the value that I give is I grab the data and I put that in the prompt, and then it allows to have a code reference.
So my website suddenly become a self-service salesperson.
Exactly.
And maybe an appointment
Exactly.
booker.
That's the next step. Right now,
once
this
the
is
appointment
text.
happen, human people will take over.
Exactly. Yeah. And so this is text and voice only, but eventually it's going to respond with links, calendar, things like that, so you can go book that appointment and take that next step.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
all right. Wow. So Justin's got his hand raised, but first we're going to give it to Fady.
Okay, quick question.
Sure.
How are you going to compete against the customer success platforms like Zendesk, Freshdesk, all those systems that...
because they don't do custom data. They would probably scrape. They don't allow you, they do generic prompt templates like go high level, things like that. They don't allow you, there's like a certain method to do the consulting to set it up. I could have done a template and had everybody sign up, but it's not as knowledgeable. There's ways to format the data.
But most businesses have all their articles, customer support service, like all the documentation, everything already built in there. And they
maybe
just
for
take
FAQ,
that.
but I think for sales it'd be a little bit different.
Okay, so you're targeting sales for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, policy, I mean, you can, but I would have custom branding. All of those things are generic out the box. They don't really give you custom UI, so to speak. You know what I mean? So,
All right. So for Chris.
I just have a question on sort of the models in your pipeline. First question is what is the base model that you're using?
I can just say I'm using an open source model. I don't use ChatGPT APIs. I had to run through a lot of open source models to figure out what really works.
Yeah, and then is the transcription model and the text-to-text model, or is this a audio-to-text model?
There's 3 models.
Okay, so you have a pipeline of several models.
Exactly, yeah.
I just had a recent project where
Yeah.
that was and that's a nice service there is that they're all hosted in the same place.
Exactly. It was
Because when
very
you're trying
rough.
to tie those APIs together, there's a lot of latency issues.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the value, is that in under 2 seconds, it can transcribe, figure out what it needs to say, and speak it out. And so, the hard one was the text to speech, because normally when you do text to speech, it's normally 1-to-1, meaning if you have a 10-second audio clip, it usually takes about 10 seconds, but 10 seconds is just way too long. And you can see that this goes like under a second, that once it knows what to say, it responds pretty quickly, which is really, really exciting. So,
what are you using for evals? Like, how do we measure that this is actually like competent, giving good answers, not drifting, not hallucinating?
I spent a bunch of time with these open source models, beating it up and testing my scripts. So I tried to like break it. I'm like, what's the capital of Japan? And it's like, no, I've tried. So I just beat it up. So.
Okay, so I guess how does that scale against like many different industries for like your potential like customer set?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like when I answer his question, like everyone has there's custom ways to do it. And that's part of the customization, is to build in the security into the prompt. And there'll also be logging, you know what I mean? Obviously, if you have an automated sales agent, you want to see the questions that your customers are asking. You know what I mean? So there'll be some type of data logging for that.
Well, it sounds like it's a custom solution, right? So
Yeah.
we're used to the SaaS model where you build one thing and everybody can use it. And here, Sonny would like to give him more money than $5 a month, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he's not making.
I think I'm going to intro like at $100 a month, unlimited chats. So,
All right, we should talk.
Yeah. So,
All right, what else we got? That's it. Awesome. Oh, no.
It's great to see the progress. You've shown demos.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned multi-agents. What other improvements have you made since the last demo?
There's just like different agents. The main thing is the speed. I don't know if you remember the first demo, though there was a little bit delay on the audio. Getting an audio response in under a second is so key. And it's going to be tough because we aren't used to this. This is a new thing. And you're like, can I really, great underwater basket. I obviously have to add some things to account for that. If you don't have a response, please respond. So I did miss some of those things to add into some of those scripts. But nevertheless, there's going to be, I think this UI is good. I think I got that done. And then I'm going to add logging and security. And eventually, I don't know, it'll probably be tough, but eventually I may even create an AI agent that could automate what I do as the consulting. You know what I mean?
Brilliant.
Exactly.
All right, everybody.
That
Round of
tastes
applause
good.
for Sonny. What an exciting time here.
Thank you.
All right. I love technology. I love building things. And I like really solving problems. I like to say that what I say sometimes, I like to study and solve large, complicated problems. Part of the reason why I do what I do, so for those that don't know what I do for a living, I run a software company, and we've got sort of an interesting take on software, which is instead of waiting for VCs to fund things, we just start building things. And we build lots of things. So when I was putting this together, I did this slide, and I was like, well, is it the most advanced AI-powered prenup builder? Yes. And it is. There's no one that's beat me at that. Which might make me the best legal tech engineer in prenups, our family law. I don't know. All right, so I'm getting blinded by this light, but we're going to go with the experiment anyway. Show of hands if you know somebody who's been divorced. Okay. Show of hands if you know somebody who found it wasn't as pleasant as going out to dinner. Okay. So premise on this is, we'll get to it. Okay. So the original vision for the legal system in this country was that equality under the law was possible and literally worth fighting a war over. And they won. Isn't that nice? So the reality is today's legal system basically makes it impossible for us to have equality under the law. Part of that's because we have a bottleneck. The bottleneck is attorneys, and we've conditioned ourselves as a society to say if you have any questions on the law, you must pay to an attorney. Now, half of Americans don't have $500 for an emergency, which means fundamentally we're really denied equal access to the courts. Not ideal. I like this definition of family law quite a bit. It's my original. It's the industrialized exploitation of human suffering. Am I being dramatic? A little bit. A lot of people would agree with me on it. So let's change that. So let's dig in a little bit more on the cost. Family courts often strip fathers of their custody of their children. Financial burdens are imposed without regard for the ability to pay or disregard for an inability to pay. Isolation and hopelessness are common outcomes. It's not an exception. It's not an edge case. And I mentioned this last statistic because it's wild. Men are 9 times more likely to kill themselves after a divorce. Now, I want to be very clear. The number I'd like to see is 0 on all sides. But that tells a story. So prenups cost 5 to 10 grand. Most people can't afford one. 80% of couples don't have one. If you don't have a prenup, what that means is you're going to be at the liberty of whatever the laws are of the state that you're in when you get a divorce. So neither you nor your partner have decided on this agreement. It's just what that is. And it's not just about protecting your assets. It's really about, it's not planning for a divorce. A lot of people think it's about planning a divorce. I think it's really about planning your relationship. This is a prenup tool. That's just one part of what we've launched. It's the only part that we've launched so far. We've got different tools we're going to be releasing. But yeah, it's about planning, having that plan figured out. Screws over the children too. They get whiplash going back and forth. Courts often ignore the actual needs of children, not the least of which is their need for a father. High conflict cases actually harm children's health, mental health for years, if not lifetime. And there's incentives to lie. The system rewards dishonesty, false allegations shift custody, help increase payouts, and attorneys make all of this possible. So, if perverse incentives create the problem, then the only sane response is to create positive incentives to solve the problem. So I built smartmarriagetools.com because my first marriage ended in divorce that so far has cost over $600,000 in attorney fees. I've been, at this point, divorced for longer than we were married, I think, and that number keeps going up. It's a black hole. My custody agreement says I can see my daughter 4 times a week, and I've seen her for 5 hours in the last 5 years. So I don't love that. There has to be a better way, so I built smartmarriagetools.com. Dun, 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 dun. So, for $499, not $5,000 to $10,000, we offer this service. So step 1 is you give us some money. Step 2, put in information about, your name, your address. This is what's going to go at the top of the agreement to make sure we're specifying who is who. And put in your wedding date. Isn't that exciting? Bit of context. So I'm happily remarried now, very happily remarried. Got married here in Vegas, then moved to Vegas. I friggin' love it here. There was sort of this moment where it felt like the air or the excitement sort of left the room a bit. So I go to my bride, I go, "Will you marry me?" And she goes, "Yes." And I was like, "Oh, great, I love this." And then we got a prenup, right? So she went to her attorney, and then I went to my attorney, and I went to my attorney, and I'm like, we're already talking through attorneys. It's supposed to happen after the marriage, not during it. And both attorneys are trying to say, oh, you got to look out for this other person, blah, blah, blah. It was really like a warm experience to be like, let's merge our lives together. And then it was really a wet blanket with the attorneys, and fine. But what we're really doing is facilitating a discussion that helps you. This is actually meant to be a discussion between you and your partner, working on it together and collaborating, which is why we offer 3 drafts. You can go back and forth. We've got 7 different sections. The first section is actually, so a foundation intent is actually stuff an attorney's not going to probably give a shit about, but they should. And so when we put that together, for those that aren't familiar with the way language models work, a lot of times the more information you give them as context, the better the output's going to be. So we overlay all of the information about their custody views, how they want to split a property, all of this stuff. We take all of that, and then we also include sort of like, why do you like each other? And what is it that you want? Are we looking for fair and equitable? Are we looking for like what is it? So before we even have give us your income and living costs and debts and all that other stuff. And to make it easier, we've got several options that you can just pick, right? Custody, mostly mom, mostly dad, 50-50. And we always allow for like a something else. So you can put your own words in there. And again, why it's really important on that foundation intent first section that we have on this list is when it has an area of confusion, it now has an anchor point. So if you're saying like, well, we want it to be fair, we want 50-50 in the foundation intent section, and then as you go down and you're talking about different things, and you fill this out, if it's not clear, it already has sort of an anchor point so it knows sort of where you're heading. Then you create a draft. And we've got draft notes. So when I was testing this, there's a reason I mentioned underwater basket weaving. I love using edge cases on stuff. So one of the things about me, I'm an extroverted engineer. It's statistically uncommon. Right, and so when I build something, like I like having some humor into it. So on one of the clauses I said, it says, how will you resolve disputes in the marriage? And I said something I was very familiar with growing up at home, shouting matches. And in the notes, it's like, so that's unconventional. That was the way it put it. And it said, you might want to add more clarity because it might not hold up. So part of the process of what we're doing is it's 4 passes through the API. The first is just generating it. The second is checking through it to make sure everything's like consistent. The third pass is going through and taking a look at any state-specific recommendations. And then the fourth is like a sanity check to give them some notes about things, something like that. But like we go through it a bunch. And so the output's pretty damn good in my biased opinion. All right, so then you just finalize it, notarize it. It'll give you a document. There's going to be signature lines at the bottom of every page. You've got, initials at the bottom of every page, signature lines, as long as lines for witnesses. And then, I'll read this here. The parties specify, parties have indicated that the agreement is governed by the laws of the current state of residence, but they don't list what it is. So it takes a look at it, and it's not doing a full legal review. It's not legal advice, but it is giving you sort of a sanity check of the best known information at the moment, at least from the language model perspective. So smartmarriagetools.com. I get excited. I say the future is bright. I'm really excited about technology in case that's not immediately obvious. So I'll leave that up for a second. I'll put the other in. So who has questions? Oh, there's questions. Okay, Sonny, I'm going to give you this mic.
Thank you. I just want to say this is a great idea for the Las Vegas. There's a lot of marriages here.
Marriage capital of the world, baby.
Exactly. And I guess this is more of a general marketing question. I think this is one of the few applications you can just put on a billboard and actually have relevancy. So what are your thoughts on marketing?
Great question. So one of the things that's really fun is we're going to be doing a post-nuptial as well, which would mean for the 80% of people who get married, there's 2 million marriages in the US a year. 80% of them don't get a prenup. But the courts have said you can get a post-nup after, and I'll tell you why. So let's say you're a contract nerd, which many of you maybe are not. If in contract there needs to be something exchanged, and if you're already married, they'll say, well, what's the value exchange? And the answer is, now, as context, a transaction of 1 cent counts as a transaction. So you just need to impart 1 cent of value. So show of hands, who thinks domestic tranquility is worth more than 1 penny? Yeah, so that's the offer on the post-nup. So courts have said if you agree to be stay married, whatever, all these things, which does make it very broad audience. One of the things that is a challenge about this is catching people, particularly prenuptially, is catching them ahead of it. Good news is a lot of the younger generation is really interested in this, and there's not a ton of competition. The other thing is I bought 10 ads on Pearl Davis's show, who frequently preaches that marriage is the way that the current laws are is a bad deal for men, and that they need to be careful and they should get a prenup. So now she's going to say, here's a prenup 10 times. So I hope that goes well. The other thing is just economically, we don't need a particularly large, we can have actually a pretty high customer acquisition cost and still make money. And so, and one of the things that we're looking at doing on my to-do list is to reach out to the wedding chapels here and offer them an affiliate program where I can give them a $100 discount code, pay them out $100 on it. And then, if I got, the numbers are staggering. If I got 1% of the market, it's $1 gazillion. And there's really nobody competing with that. The other thing is, to help with that, on the front end of it, as a front end offer, imagine you haven't found your special person and you think there may be something wrong with you, but you don't know what it is. And your exes have all said any number of things, but they're biased and they're probably wrong. So what we do, early next year we'll have like an individual assessment. And so you can basically, it will think like a very in-depth personality test, but it's giving you insight and guidance on you and how you interact with people. And then sort of as a part of that is if you and your partner both do that, we can actually map out a plan for how you guys interact with each other. A very common thing is you'll have anxiously attached and avoidant attachment styles in a relationship, and they're mixed like oil and water. And if you don't know what's going on, it makes it really ugly. And so the sort of after the prenup offer, although it's not really time specific, it's a relationship tool where there's doing a weekly check-in with the partners and then a monthly sort of recap. So on a monthly basis, we're helping them stay talking to each other, engaged, understanding each other, and giving them each individually a place to vent. So once a week, they can tell the robots about what's going on. And once a month, the robots can say, hey guys, here's what we've heard. All right, now Sonny, you can volunteer to take this mic to the next person that has a question. I saw other questions, and I'm getting blinded by the light here. Smart marriage tool.
This tool is too late for me, but I think the version that I like to see that you build based on this is will and estate planning. That I'm ready to take a dive in. So.
All right, give us a week. So you bring up a good point, right? So here's the thing. I, as you may have noticed, am bleeping angry at the family law industry as a whole. And so I've decided to go scorched earth to the extent I can. There was an attorney I was arguing with on LinkedIn, as I frequently do. By the way, if you want to get tickets to the show, that's where Josh's Link Down Throwdown happens. He's not afraid of being canceled. Anything that could have happened has already happened, and it's just fun now. But one attorney was saying, well, no jobs are being taken by attorneys. And I said, or I'm sorry, by AI. No attorney jobs are being fired because of AI. And I said, well, if tools like this Prenup tool prevent litigation, that would reduce demand. And he said, that wouldn't take away attorney jobs. What the fuck are you talking about? They're litigators. They make 5-10 grand on the prenup and 50 to 100 grand on the divorce. That's a lot. That's gonna anyway. All that to say, the same sort of machinery behind it, where we're ingesting data. We've got a structured form, so there's 27 clauses. Plus, it will generate some on your own. So if you want to make a custom, like the best example that we didn't build in, but that you could do, is like a pet custody one. So you could be like, who gets Fluffy? And then you could lay that out, and it does that clause. We can apply this across a lot of different verticals. And sort of the economic model behind my company is that we launch products, and as they make money, we use that money to fuel more products. And I've been really intrigued. Like you start building this thing, you're like, I don't know if I'll do good at this. Now I haven't tried to build something I haven't succeeded at yet. But every time I dig into a project, I'm like, maybe this is the one that's going to break the record. But the quality of the output on the product itself, like on the document itself, I was like super excited about. So I've for those that don't know, I've spent a bunch of time litigating. I have more experience arguing with judges than most attorneys. But I know a lot about family law. I know much less about wills and estates. But this is a fairly universal problem across any transactional attorney. And a lot of the transactional attorneys just have templates. And mine's fully customized. All right, who else has a question, comment? Oh, the big guy in the middle. Thank you, Sonny, by the way. You're being great.
Yeah, no problem. Actually, I was going to say a super quick comment. They showed a clip the other day on YouTube where somebody who founded AI or whatever was like, oh, we need to fire the X-ray technicians because, AI will take care of it all. And it turns out we need more than ever because now more people have access to it. So it actually increased demand and increased more jobs, ironically.
So you said some of my magic words. So before Chris answers that, the mission, okay, and I'm going to cover the light here. Raise your hand if you know what the mission of my company, Big TB, is. I've got, okay. For those that don't know, Sonny said some magic words to me. It's to democratize access to information, technology, and opportunity. All right, Chris, let's hear it.
Yeah, so I just really wanted to say it's a great product, amazing product, and there's some amazing opportunities here. I think that this is something where there's a little bit of a stigma currently, but I think that that's more of an opportunity than a challenge. Of course, it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. Like you said, based on purchase price here, you have a lot of room for marketing. And I for one, am just really looking forward to seeing the marketing that comes out of Josh Stacy on this particular subject. So
Is that because I'm feral?
I just want to say I'm buckled up. I'm ready.
All right, yeah.
So,
Well, so one of my favorite places to market, actually, so I've been building and launching projects at this point for almost 15 years. Over time, I've done a wide variety of projects. I've done everything from systems that automate the selling, mailing, and telemarketing lists, to video streaming sites, to a crypto-based OnlyFans. I'm very technology agnostic. Along the way, there's some projects I can market. There's a website that's famous for adult content. I won't mention it by name. I'm sure no one here visits it. And their ads, it's $100 for 1 million impressions. And the reason why it's so cheap is because people are distracted. And you need to be more interesting than what they're distracted by, which physiologically is very challenging. But I think not having an ugly divorce might be enough. One of the lines that I thought would be funny is one paycheck to protect the rest, or just in case you're not as into BPD as you thought you were. Things like that, yeah. By the way, ChatGPT did not like that joke. They wouldn't play with me. Grok would, and gave me 5 more ideas. All right, who else has a question or a comment or a thought?
Okay, as far as target markets go, let's say you have somebody with like a 5 million net worth, and spending 10 grand for an attorney to do this job is probably not that big of a burden for them. So let's say, who are you exactly? Are you targeting like a certain type of individual that's looking for a cheaper solution, or is it on quality you're trying to beat the attorney? Or
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, and I'm not trying to beat him on quality, though I think I am. Not trying. Half this country doesn't have $500 for an emergency. So if a prenup is $5,000, it's basically a mathematical impossibility for anyone to get that. And so what a lot of people will do is they'll say, well, I don't have any money, so I shouldn't do this. And it's like, well, but are you going to have kids, or are you guys going to have any money you spend either together or separately? So to use your example, if we've got a ultra high net worth or a high net worth individual, I don't give a shit about them. That's not my market. They could save some money. It's really not it's not really that's not my market. Realistically, my market is males 25 to 40 who've seen family members get completely destroyed over this, and they're not going to spend 5 to 10 grand because they don't have it. But they don't want to go it alone or just have some legal Zoom process. The other thing is where a lot of the market is right now. So there's a company called Hello Prenup. They were on Shark Tank. They got $150,000 investment from Mr. Wonderful. For those that are familiar with Mr. Wonderful, there's a line I'm going to say in a moment that is friggin' hilarious. So then they ended up hitting a $20 million valuation. The founding team is a family law attorney, and I forget the other, a software engineer. And their last valuation, I think, was around 100 million. And they charge $600 for a template solution. And then if you want it reviewed by an attorney, each party can pay $700 each to have an attorney review it. Now, why an attorney is having to review something that software that attorney's already generated, I don't know. You can try to, I could drive myself nuts trying to figure that one out. But that takes like a $599 prenup and makes it $2,000. And so what they've really done, I believe, is make a better workflow for the people that existing buy it. For those that aren't good at math or don't feel like doing the math, back of the napkin math, there's 2 million weddings a year in the US. 80% of them don't get a prenup. That's about 1.6 million. Let's just call it $1 million. At $100 each, that's $100 million a year market. At $500, it's $500 million a year market that they're just leaving the money on the table because they don't have a good solution for it. So would I like everybody to buy my? Yeah, absolutely. I'd love it. I think it's great. But realistically, it's folks that think it's important. And in the customer surveys that I did, folks actually generally thought it was worth between $300 and $700. You go up to $700, it's harder for them to buy it. When I was doing the customer discovery, I love doing product launches, so I'll just talk to people like, hey, can I borrow you for a minute? Usually it's a server at a restaurant who's got a minute and they want a tip. But here's the thing. I probed. I said, look, I want mission of my company is to democratize access to information, technology, and opportunity. I would love nothing more than to let everybody have this. I don't want money. I want to do it for $100. And the consistent feedback was that was far too low because it didn't convey the value. So that's the market is the people who aren't getting them right now for me, and then they can go fight over. Right. I'll go after 85% of the market, and attorneys can fight over 15% of it. All right. Who else has a question? Or
I was going to say something super quick. So, what's the typical investment for a wedding? So you can do a comparison where $500, because people are going to get married, they're already going to spend X amount of money, and $500 is probably not that expensive as a wedding fee.
Well, and that's just it. The other thing is you can pool it, right? So if you think about it like a wedding registry, it's a prenup registry. You got 5 people throw in $100, or you can use a discount code like Tech Alley that'll get you $100 off. And by the way, if anybody actually wants this, like you're in that spot, whatever, like I'm looking for early users, and if you reach out to me, like I'll give you the discount code that brings it down to $100. Yeah, so I mean, realistically, people do spend $5 to $10 on weddings sometimes.
Exactly, yeah.
And so, like, would you rather have a wedding or a prenup? I let you not have to choose.
Yeah. There you go.
Hi, Josh.
Hello, Benjamin.
First time caller, long time listener. Wanted to know what feedback you got from women in the process of putting all this together, and how did you decide how to position the product?
All right. Well, so that's a great question. So there's a few angles we could go on it. The short answer is, if I don't want to run afoul of the brides, nobody wants that problem. And I don't want my customers scared to engage with it. First of all, women might want this anyway. It's gender agnostic. In fact, if you look at our site, we've got like beautiful brides and bridesmaids, and it's all happy, exciting. It was originally a wedding theme, and I was like, I love this. Part of the problem, like the largest nerve of brides, if you've got a groom who's like, hey, I want you to sign the prenup, is they feel like it's planning a divorce. So right off the bat, the name is Smart Marriage Tools. It's a marriage tool. And the other part of it is when you're going through the process, like it really is like engaging with them on a very positive way. And we're saying like, you guys want to, I mean, the joke I used to make is that, one of the reasons to get a prenup is so you really don't hate your ex. If I had a prenup with my first wife, I would not hate her. I do hate her. I don't think that's great for my daughter, but I also don't think it's an avoidable situation. But yeah, so like a lot of it on the, because the other thing is a lot of research is showing that the younger, like Gen Z folks, millennials a little bit too, mostly, like they're not against prenups. They don't have this, like, we have this idea that like prenups are like, oh, you're planning your divorce. So like my dad's 65, he's of that ilk. But like the fact of the matter is too, for the last 4 decades, women have outpaced men in enrollment in college, and they make like 80% of the consumer buying decisions. And so if they think a prenup is a way to protect their assets, they're going to want one too. All right, what else we got? Oh, we got follow-up. I'm just peeking at the time. I'm not answering them.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up on my last one. But basically, it sounds like you recommend getting a prenup even if you have few assets to protect. And I was just
if you have no assets, get a prenup. And it's not just because I'm selling it. I'll literally sell it to somebody for $100 to have it. Because if you have kids, you have a family, you have anything, the court system's going to it's an awful system, and no one should be exposed to it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary. One paycheck to protect the rest.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I was asking a Lyft driver. I'm like, hey, what do you think is a good price point for this? And he's like, about a paycheck. And I'm like, that makes a lot of freaking sense.
Or just an idea. First, you gave women too little credit on, what they would have thought about the idea of prenups, just speaking on behalf of their age range. And there's a great potential if you want to push that market as well. But I think from the perspective of marketing or reaching out to the right segment, you probably could use something like the hims and hers idea. So try to the feel and the look and the psychological safety that plays a lot in women as a consumer plays here too if you want them to warm up to the idea of prenups. So think about this probably from a hims and hers kind of separately approach. That may help you if you ever care about that segment. I think you should.
I mean, look at this. Doesn't that bride look happy and beautiful? We want to be like her. This is it. I'm on. And if you look at my site, you scroll down, you see beautiful brides. Yeah. Oh.
So is this a one and done, or like what if something changes and I want to like edit a part of it because our lifestyle has changed?
Well, so you can change that. The other thing is on the post-nup.
Right.
A really good inciting trigger for that is you're going to buy a house, have a kid, do a whatever. I think the average age of marriage now is like 31 or something. My first marriage was like 23, and I was, it's an old guy for a Mormon to get married at 23. But yeah, like fundamentally, the folks are waiting, and then they wait to have kids, they wait to have a house, they wait to do whatever. All of those are good trigger points to sort of plan out what happens moving forward. And the other thing is too, on the marketing question, marriage licenses are public. So as the CEO, on a very strategic perspective, I want the post-nup done. I just got done whipping my engineers nearly to death to get this out the door when we did. So I'm going to let their wounds at least scab over before we go to it more. But we're going to retool it for a post-nup. So that way we can do all of the marketing to everybody that just got married, knowing roughly 8.5 out of 10 of them did not get a prenup. All right, we've got time for probably one more question. Oh, yeah, let's do it. We're doing so good with the mic today. I'm so proud of us. Global Entrepreneurship Week. Yes.
So from a technical perspective, what was the biggest challenge on the tech side of getting this project out the door?
Well, so I cheat the way we build things sometimes, and I'll explain. So I've done a lot of dev work for, my shop's done a lot of dev work for companies in Vegas and elsewhere. And when we build things, we have 3 buckets of IP. The first bucket is the client's IP. That's their customer list, their know-how, their trade secret, all that. The second bucket is open source licensing. No one's surprised by that. The third bucket is big TB IP, which is the tools that we use to build things. So the biggest challenge on this is taking that form data and turning it into a coherent document where kind of no matter what they put in, they actually get a good output. And that is a problem that we solved on other projects. And so that's a part of why when we came into it, we'd already tackled it. But like the challenge is how do you let a user submit information on a form and turn it into a structured document that consistently makes sense every time? And so when we first started doing, call it the form to PDF workflow, structured outputs didn't exist. And the context window was really small. So we had to use a lot of duct tape, crazy glue, and MySQL to make that work. And now with structured outputs, it's a lot easier. The models keep getting better. Like one of the things that's really interesting is if we had launched this 2 years ago, the product wouldn't be as good as it is right now. Just the tech wasn't there. And so now it's like there and then some. And so it's just been an absolute delight. So excellent. All right, everybody. Well, you've been at, is there more?
No,
all right, good. You guys can have questions. That's fine. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming to demo time. Nice round of applause for Sonny and me. And then Sonny for being my Vanna White. He did great. One of the things that I love about this session in particular is usually what we do is we have some people present, and we've got some time left, as we usually do. So you can mingle and chat and hang out and actually form connections, because this is a community event. So thanks everybody for coming, and enjoy the rest of your day.